So I named the talk Remixing Community because I think that's what you have to do to get a talk accepted, is you just have to do remixing something in front of it. No, and the reality, like, as I was thinking about it, it's like, I don't know about for you guys, but for the past several years, I went through this really weird thing where I had to be inside a lot and like couldn't hang out with people. And there's like this, global pandemic going on and whatnot. I don't know if y'all experienced that. But humans in that amount of time, we didn't really evolve to not need personal connections, at least in my opinion. I'm not a biologist, but I think that's true. And so, but we all kind of came out of it a little bit different, where we were very used to Zoom and online communities and whatnot. And so to me, it's like, okay, we haven't changed, but the way we interact changes. So how do we kind of remix the old with the new, just like Remix does? So first of all, who am I? Yeah, the joke was already stolen. I'm sorry for everybody I've confused by growing my hair out. My bad, won't do that again. I work at H-E-B, which is the best grocery store in the world, according to Texas. It's pretty cool. It's got a weird cult in Texas going on. So I don't know, if you're in Texas, go to an H-E-B because someone will make you do it anyway. And then also, like was said, I run a meetup in Austin, Texas, and I really run it with a bunch of people, and I'm going to be highlighting them throughout this. There's Justin, if you've met him, he's here giving a presentation and our website and all sorts of fun stuff that we do. And I do want to say ahead of time, like I did get everyone's permission because I am going to be sharing a lot of stories, and I would have felt weird if I didn't say this. Like I did get everyone's permission, so no one's up here who doesn't know. I don't think. I hope I didn't miss someone. Also, this is a weird talk. All week we've been hearing people talk about like really cool tech and stuff that they built with their cool tech, and I think that's awesome. But this talk is not quite that. It's a little bit about community and about people and how to build something a little bit maybe squishier and softer. But I really want to just talk about two things. I want to talk about these two things. One being, that technical communities are valuable. I want to try and convince you of that if you don't already believe it. And then two, that you can build your own community if you want to. Now, that may sound pretty easy. Why am I not doing a lightning talk, right? I got 2 points. That's pretty easy. So the good news is my dad was actually a pastor, so I know how to take 2 points and make it a 40-minute sermon. So you're all going to be okay. Don't worry. But I only have like 17 and a half minutes left, so I guess I should get going. So thing one, technical communities are valuable. Technical communities are valuable because they build your network. I don't know, I don't really like that language. Sorry for the folks at LinkedIn. But really, I really think about it as everyone is welcome in technical communities, which I think is super cool. Believe it or not everyone's on Twitter, or sorry, that's a mistake, Mastodon, or Blue Sky, whatever we're calling it. Not everyone's on these online presences, and they're fine. I'm not trying to like bag on these. I'm on Twitter myself because I don't have a Blue Sky invitation. But these are valuable, but not everyone's on there. Maybe self-selection, or they just don't think they have a reason or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool people in the world who you maybe won't find in these kind of online spaces where we all dunk tweet on each other. So at our meetup, we've had attendees who have never used Remix, who've never coded, who aren't web developers. We had UI UX researcher come to several. We had a 7-year-old one time, which was super weird. We did not have any bylaws to handle that, so we just kind of let it happen. And even my wife has attended, who I think did some HTML and Python in college, so she is a 10x developer. And there's also a reality where, I know this is kind of funny to put this slide up and be like, I could literally be in the row of the white dudes right there. There is a reality. I'm not saying this to say all conferences are this way, because I actually think Remix is like one of the coolest, and there's a really diverse set of people here and ideas and nationalities represented, and especially in the speakers, it's been really cool. But there is a privilege that comes with like going to conferences, and like a privilege I'm really happy I get to have. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there's also something cool about local meetups. You just kind of get that ragtag team of like, hey, who's in my neighborhood who just like wants to come and talk and build a website together or whatever. And there's something really valuable about that. I think both are great. I think being in lines of white guys is also cool sometimes. So the second point about technical communities being valuable is because they help you build connections. So who was here on Tuesday and saw the backup talks? Or really, they were kind of the primer talks, or maybe the frontliners would be what I call them. So Paul got to talk. I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name. I've done that before, and it's very hard. I'm sorry, Paul. But Paul talked about Remix and Strappy, and I just think Paul is super cool. So we met, I don't know, 6 months ago maybe, at Remix Austin meetup. and just thought he was a super cool guy because he was very quick to be like, hey, I want to give a talk. And anyone who wants to give a talk at my meetup is automatically my favorite person, because that is one of the hardest things about running a meetup, is getting consistent speakers who are not yourself. And so with Paul, one connection that we got to build that was super cool is I had the opportunity to work with Remix EU conference last year, or last, I think, fall it was. And they needed an MC, and I immediately was like, oh, well, Paul has a YouTube channel, and he's very charismatic, and he's a really funny guy, so like, he's gonna be great. And so that was a really easy connection to build that I would have never had. I mean, maybe if I could have like pointed some random person on Twitter that I've like interacted with twice and said, hey, use this person, but like actually knowing this person made me a lot more confident, and it gave Paul, I think, a super cool opportunity. Third point for why technical communities are valuable is because you actually grow as a developer when you engage in a technical community. So these two folks are here as well. You got Matt and Colby. If you haven't met them, they're also both great. Yeah, there they are. And so they, for some reason, decided to build a blog on our website, which I think is super cool. And it's like just the quintessential, like, why are we rebuilding a blog? But I think it's awesome because you just get to build something. It's really fun. And then like Matt did a great job of building the blog and writing about it at the same time, which is awesome because like I really don't have a problem. Build as many blogs as you want. Just please write something too. Like we got to do both. Yeah, that's okay. So anyway, yeah, Colby really helped kind of give Matt some ideas of how he built his own blog and how we could maybe build one for ourselves. So it's super cool, and it's on our website, which I'll talk about more later. And so I hope this is true, Matt, that it helps you kind of grow as a developer, especially as you were getting back into React world. From 2 thumbs up, perfect. All right. And then finally, technical communities are valuable because you get to help other people grow. I'm gonna be honest, like I love being on stage right now, and I really love the spotlight, but there's like another kind of just specialness to getting to watch someone else excel or get an opportunity they haven't had or speak for the first time. So I'm gonna talk about Karen Douglas, who, yes, I love that picture. It makes me laugh every single time. She came to our meetup. I don't think she even really knew what Remix was. She didn't know what React was, and she was a programmer, and she's a self-described junior developer, very much trying to find what her first kind of break into tech is. And so I just kind of a couple times was just like, hey, if you ever want to give a talk, if you ever want to like try that, that's a really great opportunity. Looks good on a resume. It helps you. You have to build something typically to build a talk, and so she like took that and ran and used something called Front-End Mentor to build, which is like basically they give you like requirements like you would have in a job from a designer or whatever. It's probably actually better than a real job, honestly. Like, I don't know what y'all's experience with design is. And so she decided to build that in Remix and just get her first taste into that. And so it helped her grow, but honestly, like it was such a joy. Like, I'm just selfishly going to say it's such a joy to get to like platform someone and be like, you go be awesome right now. All right, so thing two, that's why technical communities are valuable. And again, hopefully this wasn't the crowd I had to convince, but if I did, you're convinced now, so good. Thing number two, you can build your own community. So if you want to, it's really not that hard. This is gonna be more descriptive than prescriptive of like kind of what we did and some things that worked. Take it with a grain of salt, of course, because your mileage may vary and it's depending on where you live. You may be in, like rural Virginia or something, and it's kind of hard to build a technical community, so that's totally valid. Sorry, Drew. But the way I want to talk about this is I want to talk about metaphors for a second. So who here knows who Maggie Appleton is? Let's just see what I'm working with. Okay, cool, a handful. So Maggie is, she's super cool. She worked at Egghead.io for a while, and she does a really good job of not just like making logos, but making like visual ideas of like complicated technological things. So she talks about metaphors a lot because that's how she really kind of thinks about things. So in this article called How to Draw Invisible Programming Concepts Part 1, I don't think she wrote the other parts, but we'll let that one slide. She says, a metaphor is when we understand one thing in terms of another. The power of a metaphor is it helps us use something we know to understand something we don't know. And so again, a visual kind of version of that is thing A we understand, and circles and spheres are really hard to understand, but because we understand what squares are, we can understand what circles are. That's an interesting metaphor for the metaphor, but you understand the point. It's A maps onto B, so we can take something we understand to understand something we maybe don't understand. Most famously, she talked about React as a potato plant, and this became the React as a potato talk. About 3 years ago, I had React Women 2020, I think. And so she talked about how you can think of React as a, she didn't like the analogy of a tree because trees grow up and React trees grow down, so it's really confusing. So she's like, let's talk about them as potato plants. Maybe that's a little bit easier to think about. And so it's a really cool talk. You should check it out. Okay, so I want to do the same thing because like we're all engineers in here and stuff, but what we understand for the most part, I think a lot of people in here understand remix really well, right? So I'm going to take remix as the metaphor for something that's a little bit squishier and community. So I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to take a technical thing and explain a non-technical thing. So Remix loves progressive enhancement. I think no one showed us this better than John. That was amazing. Just a piano that works without JavaScript. I guess actually most pianos work without JavaScript. But piano on, sorry. I did not think about that actually beforehand. Maybe we shouldn't invent pianos on the web. Man, could a blog work without JavaScript? Okay, anyway. So how do we accomplish progressive enhancement? There's a few ways to do it. This is the way I kind of like to think about this, and I think I've adapted this from things that Ryan said and all sorts of things. But I like to think of it as like make it work without JavaScript, then make it work with JavaScript, then make it better with JavaScript. Because why are you adding JavaScript if you're not going to get to number 3? So how does this map into like building a community? Okay, make it work without JavaScript. Start in person. This is really like my totally opinion. Again, like this might not work for everyone, but the reality is like, yes, I know we went through the pandemic and we all know how Zoom works and everything, but like there is something, I mean, you're all here in person. I hope you know what is so special about just being around people and getting to talk in person. That's pretty cool. And honestly, start with that. Start with the thing without JavaScript. That's the base human thing. Like we've been doing face-to-face conversations for like a really long time. We've been doing online conversations for a very short time. So we're really good at the in-person, some of us. But it's good. So yeah, start in person. That's like your base experience, in my opinion, if you want to build a community. And then add JavaScript, add online and recordings. That is not, you don't have to start with that. Your meetup does not have to start with the online and the recordings. If people say, do you have an online and recording? You just say, no, it's in person. We'll try to get to that one day, but for now. But I mean, I don't know. People don't go to you and say, like, does your website have JavaScript? They just try to use it. And either it works or it doesn't. And then finally, make it better with JavaScript, add a website. This is also like the most ridiculous one. You do not have to add a website. I think it's kind of funny that we did add a website, and I love it, but it's really the idea of to accelerate or to elevate your meetup or your group or your whatever community to do something else. Like have something you're all working on together. Have something that you can all engage in together. Again, this is also like a really great opportunity for someone who's never submitted a PR. How easy is it to submit a PR to a project that you've already talked to the person face to face and you can go to them and say like, why is Git like messed up right now and I can't fix all the things and whatnot. So build something together, add a website. So just a little summary of that. Making it work without JavaScript is starting in person, making it work with JavaScript, add online recordings, and making it better is to add a website or some sort of fun project. All right, another metaphor. Remix loves not breaking the user experience. This is also kind of like going back to progressive enhancement. If you added JavaScript and you broke the experience, get rid of the JavaScript. That's not the way Remix likes to do things, and that's not the way we should do things in community. So this one doesn't really have a great metaphor because it's the same thing. Don't break the experience for the user, for the people going to your meetup. Don't be inconsistent. If you said you're going to meet every month, then meet every month. Keep doing that. Burnout is real though, and sometimes it may not work, which gets to my second metaphor, which is future flags. We had future flags demo test yesterday, and you probably have seen them before. Matt Brophy's got the great, Remix Run blog/future flags. Just communicate early and often. Really, that's the metaphor there. If you do need to take a month off, if you do need to change, like we're changing ours from Thursday to Wednesday next month, so I'm already got a future flag coming out right now about that one. Just communicate early and often. People appreciate consistency, and it's really hard to be engaged in a community when you don't even know when that community is going to meet. Like how many of us have friends who say they're going to meet us at the bar or whatever, and then don't even show up. Like that's not a good friend. So yeah, that's not a good community. And then finally, as far as the metaphors go, Remix loves your stack. Relatively opinionated about React, at least right now. I hope one day there's more, and I know there's talks of that. But React and some sort of JavaScript backend. But other than that, like you can, like Kent just showed us that he's got his own like freaking meta stack on top of the stack, which is pretty cool. And like Remix is really all about, hey, bring your own stack, deploy where you want, Vercel, Fly, Cloudflare, whatever it is. In the same way, every community is unique. Like we maybe know this, but again, I just want to make this disclaimer because I've said a lot of very specific opinions, but yours is going to be unique. Take the things that I've said and build them that makes sense, but then the things that you want different, change it. Like again, maybe you do have to just be online and that's totally fine, make that. Or maybe you don't even want the online presence, that's fine. You don't need JavaScript on your website. And then finally, if you build it, they will come. Also, I didn't realize this. This is, if you build it, he will come. That's the original quote. I had no idea. Anyway, wild. I've actually found that it's true that if you build it, they will help. I little less care about all the people coming. I want the people to come who want to come, but what's actually been the most fun is all the people that have helped along the way. So I think it was mentioned that our first meetup was, I was like, 14 people are going to come. This is awesome. This is going to be so cool. Like, we're going to have so many people there. And it was like one guy who showed up half an hour late, which is awesome. But bad on me. Don't have your meetup in a bar. That's a terrible idea. So again, my opinion, but yeah, just no, don't have your meetup in a bar. But Patrick did come. And honestly, just having like one person show up who said, hey, what are you building in Remix? This is what I'm building in Remix. This is why I think it's cool. What do you think is cool? What do you think about these ideas that they've been throwing around? That to me was just enough of the vision to be like, yeah, this can be something. This is awesome. So you really just kind of need one person and again, not a bar. Don't go to a bar. Then how we iterated, so Grant is here in the front row. He was my manager at the time. He caught wind that I was doing this and said, what the heck, why are you doing this in a bar? We're going to do it at our awesome offices. And I'm super fortunate to work at a company that has a really nice office. But the reality is like there's so many people who do work at companies that are excited to have meetups going on again and excited to host communities and to engage in the wider web world. So yeah, just people will help and people will offer, and then like Jake's up here speaking, you'll find people who want to speak and who are excited as well. So how's it going? Again, we built a website, I don't know why, but it's super fun. I actually really enjoy it and love that we have that little community, just a place to build. I put Seth's face up there because I just wanted to shout out to everybody who's been really awesome, and there's all the contributors who have been contributing to this thing. So wrapping up, I just want to say that I think Remix is a great framework. I think almost everyone in here probably agrees with that statement. No, I'm sure everyone in here agrees with that. And really, how do I know what's my litmus test for that? To me, this isn't everything, but it's a really big thing. People try Remix, and they keep coming back. They keep trying it. That's a big deal. Remix has been around for like 2 years, or is that how long it's been open source? I don't know. It's been around for a few years now, right? And then even React Router before that, people keep coming back. They keep using it. That to me, that's a pretty good sign that it's a great framework. So if you want to build a good community, give people a reason to try it, give them a reason to keep coming back. And the reason to try it is just pizza, so it's pretty easy. So this whole time, I've been talking about Remix and the community we built. You really don't have to build a Remix-specific community. Obviously, you can build whatever community you want, whatever technical community you want. I think Remix already has a really great community, so it's a really easy one to start with, which is super cool, super easy to start with. But I do want to get up on my high horse for 1 second. This is a weird expression, I realized as I was saying this. What the heck is a high horse? Anyway, I have one moral standing I want to say, which is a pretty small thing. But just for us as the larger Remix community, as we're here, just one piece of advice that I think we're doing pretty good, but I think can be doing even better, is the principle of show, don't tell. So all this means is let's just show people that Remix is really cool. Let's not tell them. And I think like yesterday, Michael and Ryan just did such a great example. That's honestly why I've like followed them for so long, is because they do such a good job of showing you why something is cool. And yeah, I just think like the whole Remix team, all the like demos and stuff they put out, I think are super cool. And I think the community really does a great job. And I just want to see this even more. Like let's not be the people who go and say like, Remix is really cool, you have to use it. But rather just say like, hey, Remix is really cool, you want to see how it works. So now go build your community.